Thank you for joining us. This is Russ Morgan with Fire Your Banker Today. Let's take a look and see how well are you prepared for retirement. The example I'm going to be using is going to go through a couple of things that we can control and things that we can't control. So obviously the amount of money that we're making, the amount of money that we're saving, those are things that are in our control. The things that are out of our control are going to be some of these assumptions. First is what we're going to earn between now and retirement. What are we going to earn during retirement? And then what will inflation be? Now, if you haven't already, read our blog post on inflation. It really goes into depth into what causes inflation and how ultimately it plays an impact into our financial picture. Typically, I'll use either someone's birth date or I'll use the year they graduated high school to give an indicator of what inflation has been over their time frame. So let's just assume this person is 38, so they would have graduated high school probably in 1994. So through the end of last year, their inflation rate would be 2.42. So that's going to be the rate in which things are going to get more expensive as we go along. So if we look here, we're making $125,000. We're spending $110,000 and we have $75,000 saved in different assets. We're going to assume that we're going to retire at 65. Now 65 is one of those, again, as you've been reading our blog post on how a financial planner calculates retirement, we did go through retirement, and that's one of the things that we can control when we retire. Unfortunately, because of how long we're living, it might need to change, but we'll take a look at that. Let's see the numbers. Okay, let's get into what I enjoy looking at, which is the numbers. Now, there's going to be a lot of numbers on this page, and I'm going to try to walk through each and every column individually so that way you don't get lost. Know that your situation will be a little bit different than this one, but I think the visualization of what's happening will really help you get a good idea of what your projections might look like based upon your numbers. Well, if we go back through the blog post that we've written, remember we talked there were some things that we could control. Those were how much we're saving, how long we're working, and how much we'll spend. There were some things that were out of our control, which is the amount of return that we'll earn on our money, both between now and retirement and after retirement. And also what inflation will do, because we don't know how much money will our government print, how much will our banks lend that doesn't exist, all which increase the money supply, which is the definition of inflation. So let's look at this and see and break down each and every number so that way you'll understand what's happening. If you'll draw your attention to the top left of the page, you see based upon saving $15,000 a year and earning 6%, this individual would have had $1.6 million at his retirement age. Now if you go back to our blog posts, you saw the third-party management group, Ibison, who said that through different studies that we could withdraw 4% off an account balance lasting 20 years and have a 100% probability of not running out of money. Well, what is 4% of 1.6 million? It's about 66,000. However, in order for this individual to maintain their $110,000 a year lifestyle, because that's what they're living off of today, they would need to withdraw $210,000 a year. Now, 66,000 is significantly less. It's 200% less than 210,000, right? So, in order to maintain their lifestyle, their money's going to run out very, very quickly. If we adjusted their lifestyle down to the 66,000, that would reduce this number, their lifestyle, to probably about a third of what they're living off of today. Probably not going to happen, right? Well, what are some things that they can do to try to solve this problem? Well, they obviously could save more, work longer, spend less. Not a whole lot of people want to do those things. What are things that they really can't control? Well, they can't control inflation, and they really can't control return. But yet, return is always the number one go-to, both for financial planners and for us as consumers. So I want to show you, what is a return? What is it that we need to earn on our money in order to solve this problem? So we'll calculate for that. So if we earn 9.46%, 9.46% would mean that we would have $3 million at our retirement age. And then our money, if you see on the right side of the page, would last until our age 84. Not bad, right? Maybe we can do that. Well, what would be required of us? What is it that our money would have to do in order to earn 9.46%? Well, one, it'd have to earn 57% greater than the 6% that we thought that we could safely do. Now, when I mention safety, that means the opposite of that is risk. Risk equals probability of loss. So what's the probability of loss if we increase our risk by 57%? How is it that we as individuals can make up those years that we lose money? Because every year that we take that much more risk, we subject ourselves to loss, and each and every year we're getting closer and closer to retirement. Do you see the problem? Probably not the best solution. Now, I do think that good investments should be sought after, but rate of return is not the silver bullet. We can't only focus on that. We must focus on, one, as I talked about in the blog post, we're living longer. Age 65 was something that was brought up almost 100 years ago. We need to consider working longer than age 65. But at the same time, maybe there's some things that we can do by the way we handle money. We avoid taxation through legal measures. We also can reduce maybe some of the interest on debt that's going out of our hands. And if we could take some of those dollars, couldn't we redirect those to ourselves? Couldn't we increase the amount of we're saving just through that and not by minimizing our lifestyle? Well, if you'd like to know what some of that looks like, join us on our webinar. You can click it right there on your page, and we can have a discussion on how is it that we do that through some different concepts. So join us on the next webinar, and I thank you for joining us today.